We're going to cover assigning VLANs dynamically in ZoneDirector with Radius. Radius is running in Network Policy Server on Windows Server 2012 R2. In the description box below, we've included great resources to assist you, including links to our How-To Hub. Be sure to check it out often, as we are always updating the content. To get started, we need to create a user within Active Directory. So we right-click on Users, we go down to New, and we select User. We're going to give it a simple name. We'll use ZD Client. That helps us keep track of it. Now we're going to give it a password, and we're going to set that password to not expire. Next, we need to verify some things with the username. So first, we're going to right-click on the newly created user and go to Properties. Here, we're going to select the Dial-In tab and just make sure that Allow Access is selected. Next, under the Member Of tab, we want to make sure that this username is also a member of the domain users group. We use domain users for Radius authentication on our clients, but you can use or create any group here that you choose. Now we need a Radius client, so we'll navigate to Radius Clients, right-click, and select New. Here we're going to provide it with a friendly name. We're going to give it the IP address of our ZoneDirector appliance, and then we're going to create a shared secret. Now remember, this shared secret should be something separate from the passwords that you use within your network environment. Now we're going to configure our connection request policy. So we'll right-click and select New. We're going to give the policy a name. We'll use something simple. We'll use ZoneDirector. Once we click on Next, we do need to specify conditions. So we're going to click Add, scroll to the very bottom, and select NAS port type. Now we have common .1x tunnel types. We'll use wireless IEEE 802.11. Click Next. Don't need request forwarding. We'll select Next. We also don't need to specify authentication methods. We'll click Next. Now under Configure Settings, you can configure attributes or other things that you might need within your environment. For this example, we don't, so we're going to click on Next again. Here we get a wizard overview. We can verify everything here. If we do have issues, we can go back and make adjustments, but we'll go ahead and click on Finish. In a similar fashion to access lists and firewall rules, the policies do follow a top to bottom precedence. So we're going to go ahead and move it to the top of the list. Next, we're going to configure a network policy. So we right click and go to New. Give it a name. We'll just call it ZoneDirector. Click on Next. Now we do need to specify conditions again. Here we need to specify user groups. We're going to ensure that domain users is added, since that's what we use internally for Radius authentication. So we type domain, check names, we'll select domain users and click on OK. The next screen, we want to verify that access is granted. Click Next. Now we're going to configure our authentication methods. So we select Add, and we'll add Microsoft Protected Eep. Once we have that, we need to highlight it and click on Edit and verify that we have the correct certificate selected. Next, we're going to also add MS Chap here, and we're going to ensure that encrypted and unencrypted authentication is allowed. When we click Next, it gives us a help option. We're going to say no. So on this screen under Constraints, we don't need to configure anything. We can click on Next. However, under Configure Settings, we're going to click on Add. We do need to add the tunnel type. So we're going to go ahead and highlight tunnel type here. And when we click on Add and add again, it's going to give us an option for commonly used for 802.1x. We want to include virtual LANs. That's how we're going to ensure that we get a dynamic VLAN assignment. The next piece we need to add is called the Tunnel Private Group ID, and this is the VLAN that we're dynamically assigning. So the string that we enter is the VLAN number that we've assigned as our dynamically assigned VLAN. For us, it's 1000. So we click on OK. Now the next piece, we need to add the tunnel medium type. This is a standard 802, and it's also in the commonly used field. So we'll use that and click on OK again. Now we'll go ahead and click on Close. If we need to add anything else here, we can, but we don't. So we'll click on Next. The next screen, it's a review of everything that we've configured. If we need to make changes, we can go Previous. We don't. We're going to click on Finish. Same behavior as our connection request policy. We do need to move the network policy to the top of our list. So we'll just right click and select Move Up until it is at the top. Okay, so we've moved into ZoneDirector, and now we need to make some configuration changes here. So we'll navigate to Services and Profiles, and we'll select AAA Servers. We're going to click on Create, and we're going to tie this to our Radius server. So we'll give it a name, and then we're going to select Radius as the type. Here we can input the IP address. We didn't change the port number. We can leave that default, but we do need to include the shared secret of the Radius client that we created in Radius earlier. Now that we've created our Radius server, we need to create a wireless LAN that we can test this with. So we're going to select Wireless LANs and then click on Create. Here we're going to name it. We're just going to call it ZD Radius. That will be the SSID as well. And as we scroll down to authentication, we need to select 802.1x EAP, but we also need to select our Radius server under authentication servers. For encryption, we're going to select WPA2. And now we're going to look under advanced options. Here, as you can see, we have our access VLAN. Well, we can enable Dynamic VLAN here and then select OK. Okay, now we're ready to test this. So we're going to navigate to troubleshooting and client connectivity. Here we're going to input the client MAC address from where we will connect and authenticate. So we've entered the MAC address and we're going to click on Start. Now once we initiate the connection from the client, on this screen here, you'll see all of the authentication traffic as it happens. This is easily one of my favorite features within any of our controllers or unleashed access points. It does show you the full traffic flow. Now we do see a lot of EAP request responses. That's probably due to signal saturation. So please understand that this one might not be an exact carbon copy of what you'll see in your environment. But the best part is that once we see the authentication happen successfully, DHCP completes, we are given a VLAN of 1000, which is what we configured earlier. You can also verify the Vlan ID by navigating to Clients and Wireless Clients and then selecting the client that you're interested in. Here we can note that the client we used was assigned VLAN 1000. One last thing, I just want to show you that under the security section of the event viewer in Windows Server, if you search for Network Policy Server, you will note that you see your authentication request here as well. That's it. We've successfully configured dynamic VLAN assignments in ZoneDirector. Before you go, don't forget to check the description box below and access any of the resources we've provided. Thanks for watching.